All right, you guys, welcome back to the Real Talk Girlies podcast. I'm your host, Disapproval Joe, and today I'm here with a fellow artist that I met actually at Syracuse Sound when I was with Steve Brown recording my album, which, by the way, is out on all streaming services. I'm back. Today I'm here with Dan Lovell.
Hello.
Yes. So Dan was working with Steve. He was an intern with him. He also does engineering, music himself. His stage name is called 2 Weeks Later. And I just felt a good connection and vibe when I was with Dan in the studio. Granted, I did forget his name 3,000 times, but I'm terrible with names, so don't come at me. But he was kind enough to even guest star on the album with me for Can We. He did a girlish high-pitched scream, which was 10 out of 10. So if you hear that in that song, that is Dan Lovell. He's known for engineering. He's known for his music for 2 Weeks Later. And as I said to him earlier, it was as if like the main guy from Panic at the Disco and the main guy from Pierce the Veil were gay and literally were married and adopted a baby. It would be Dan Lovell's voice. So that is who he sounds like in his music. So I highly recommend giving it a listen. And yeah, so today, Dan, I just wanted to ask some questions. I would love to learn more about your musical process, what you got into engineering, and also a little backstory about how we are now in a studio that is partly owned by you. And I am one of the first few people to be in this area. So that must be very exciting as well to just have a new office as well. And it's called Victory Records, correct?
Legacy Recording.
Legacy Recording. See, I'm terrible with names, y'all. But yeah, so let's just get right into it. So what made you get into engineering? How'd you meet Steve Brown? All that kind of good jazz.
So I've been making music for a long time. I started playing drums at 4 years old.
Wow.
Just screwing around on little baby drum sets or whatever, and moving my way up to a real drum kit, and then learning guitar, bass, saxophone, a whole bunch of different instruments. But then I've always wanted to have a band. I've always wanted to make music. So I've just been making songs for 2 weeks late for a while now. And when I was about 19, when I was 19, we decided to actually get in the studio at Subcat, and we recorded an entire album right off the bat because we didn't really know any better. We released a couple of singles, but we just kind of went for it because we had a bunch of stuff written, and Steve was the engineer for the entire project. And I met him through that, and we kind of clicked off the bat. And I kind of just asked him, I was like, so this is your job? This is what you do? And at the time, I was a painter, a construction worker, and I was pretty sure I was going to do that for the rest of my life, if I'm being honest. I was passionate about it, and I liked it a lot, but I saw what Steve was doing. I didn't really realize that studio work was an option, so it was really cool to have him, to see what he was doing. And then I just took a lot of interest in that. Went to college for it. And then I started interning with him for a long time. And now, recently, I've started doing it myself and taking my own clients and, staying busy with it.
Wow, so that's really fascinating. So with all those instruments you mentioned when you were younger, were those introduced to you by your parents, or you just found interest in them within yourself?
So my dad has been in a band for years.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's definitely my biggest inspiration for music. He he's always played music around the house, and he's also a multi-instrumentalist himself, plays tons of instruments. And when I was 11, I think, I was kind of his little roadie for his band, would follow them around to all their shows and help them set up equipment, and learned, the basics of everything, and learned how to set up equipment, and just watch them perform. And they played a lot of decently big shows and a lot of cool venues, and it just kind of inspired me to do the same thing. So
That's amazing. Now, you also mentioned painting. So with your dad being on the road doing music and everything, where did this painting job come from?
so that was just when I was older, and that was just kind of out of necessity. I needed to pay bills, and I always kind of had a passion for, building things. I remember like when I was a kid, I really liked Mythbusters.
What's a Mythbuster?
You don't know Mythbusters?
No. What's
on TV?
No, is that a show?
Yeah, it's on Discovery, Adam Savage. Anyway.
Oh, I don't watch Discovery. I was watching Disney Channel, babes.
Okay, so Adam Savage, he's really awesome, and he builds a lot of stuff, and I would just kind of watch him do his thing, and it always made me want to get involved in some sort of construction. So when I was old enough to have like a full-time job, that was just kind of what I gravitated towards, and I had connections with a construction crew just because they had been like working on my mom's house, so I just worked for them for a while.
Okay. So now your dad's band, like, does he have like any music out, like any streaming service like that, like anything like that, like albums or anything like that?
Yeah, they're called Nightlight Mary, and they have a bunch of albums on Spotify, YouTube.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out.
Have they done any recent work?
Oh yeah, they make an album like almost every year.
Damn, how long have you been doing it?
The 90s, like they've been active for a very long time.
Would you guys ever do a project together?
Oh, definitely, yeah. We're actually just talking about that recently.
That is so cool.
And even when I was a kid, we played a lot of cover songs together. My whole family did. Like, we had like a family band, and we'd play cover songs.
Oh my god, I would love to see that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I think like having music for yourself is one thing, but being able to like have someone that values it the same as you do, and like even like learn from them or like look up to them, that must be such like an amazing feeling to have. Like with
definitely.
You and your father with music.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely would not have been as interested in music if I didn't grow up around it. Like,
yeah.
Because it's not even just my dad, like my uncle too, and he ended up being in my dad's band after a while, but he had his own band as well, and it's just like,
Wow.
I have a very musical family.
So with like being on the road when you were younger with him and seeing all that exposure to music, like what's something that you feel he has taught you within the music world?
I think that he always taught me to just be genuine, to just stick to your identity. I think especially because, I've never really had tons of traction with my music, and I think sometimes when I see that, I'm almost like tempted to just do things that other people do, and like try to do things to fit in or whatever, but it always feels disingenuous, and I feel like watching my dad play and the music he wrote, it was always very genuine, so I always really appreciated that aspect of music, just being poetic and saying, deeper things, I guess, and that's stuff that kind of comes easy to me.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice to have your dad because, like, our generation lives in an era where we're very influenced by social media and TikTok sounds and all these other things. And we see that gets a lot of publicity, and it's very addictive to want to just latch onto that. It's like, well, a lot of people are making like TikTok sounds for music now. And for me, at least, like, I feel like I would want to listen to a whole song, not just 15 seconds to make a trendy TikTok clip or something, And it seems like your dad and his work and him being so real with himself has reminded you of that as well. So Definitely. That's really great.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this may be like a hot take, but I feel like anyone can just make like a pop song and just like, make it like a catchy beat and then like call it like a catchy hook and that'd be it. Like,
Yeah.
There's like no meaning behind whatever. It's like people got the money and stuff to do that, boom, done. But like, I feel like it's very hard to sit with yourself and think like, what do I want to write about? What do I want potentially 5 people, 6,000 people to hear what's on my mind?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't really listen to lyrics nowadays, but the ones that do, they really will like think or be like, that resonates with me, or that line really hits, or they'll question it, you know? I know, like, for me, one time I was in a podcast episode, and actually it was with Mikey T, and he called my music thinking music. And I think that was one of the best compliments I ever got with music, because it wasn't pop, it wasn't rock, it was just like, when I listen to what you're saying, I'm thinking about it. Like, I want to understand.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important, because it's not just like a breeze through. It's like, oh, whoa, like, I wonder what he meant by that. Or like, ooh, that's so interesting. Like, what, do you mean that in a good way or a bad way? It's like, I guess, like, it's kind of like you don't want music to just like tell you all the answers for you. It's like you kind of want to make your own opinion or assumption on it, because then it's yours in a way.
Definitely.
It's like you can make like the saddest song ever. Maybe I think that's the happiest bop in the world, or vice versa. It's like, I think we make music for ourselves and we keep it true to ourselves, but then when it's in the hands of others, when they listen, they can perceive it in ways that they like. But when it comes like, you know, a poppy cookie cutter song, there's only one way to look at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome that you have role models such as your uncle and your dad to encourage you to keep making stuff that may be outcasted by the norm, but it's going to connect with that right audience that will value it.
And honestly, that's the thing that's important to me, is like, maybe it's not for everybody, but if somebody gets it, you know, that's enough for me.
So you mentioned playing with instruments, stuff like that came pretty naturally to you. What about like singing? Like, did that come naturally as well? Did you have to be trained for that?
So singing is something that I've always done. I've always, you know, just sang around the house. And I think that, so it started when I was young. I was a really big Michael Jackson fan.
Okay.
So I always wanted to sing like Michael Jackson, sing along with Michael Jackson. And when I was young, it came to me really easily. But then as I got older, about teenager, I got a lot more into punk rock. I was really into Descendants and Green Day, and I kind of wanted to sound more punk rock, and I practiced singing like that a lot, to the point where it was funny that, like, I was so used to singing punk that I almost forgot how to sing normally again, but then I really wanted to sing differently. So then that was about the time that I started college. So then I took a ton of vocal lessons, and now I can say that I'm pretty happy with how I sing. It did take a lot of work, though, a lot of practice, especially to sing some of the higher stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of your vocals came from inspirations from artists or bands, but then when you got to college, you got to then be able to know when to switch your gears of doing rock harder stuff or more like that higher pitched voice like Michael Jackson. So you were able to be taught how to kind of express both.
Yeah, and the other thing too that was nice about my vocal coach in college is that she kind of like, she pointed out that my natural singing voice sits like high, like that I sing high naturally, and she kind of just made me feel okay about that, because I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to sing all high like that, like, 'cause, you know, it's not very common or whatever. But it's funny that you mentioned Pierce the Veil, because at that same time period, I had like gotten into them and like Sleeping with Sirens, and like they both have frontmen that sing really high.
Yes.
So it was like an easy transition to like sing with better technique and feel okay about it, even if it comes out like that. You know, I didn't necessarily have to sound super like manly anymore, and because I still do the screaming and stuff on top of it, which kind of is a nice balance. But yeah, I was never really familiar with that kind of vocal style before that, though.
I feel like a lot of people weren't either. I feel like in like the early 2000s, 2010s even, I know for me, like Pierce the Veil, their 2012 album, like with Hell Above and all those songs, I can't even think of the name right now, but
Collide with the Sky.
Yes, thank you. But that was like when I first heard like really high pitched like rock like vocals and like screaming and stuff like that, and I desired to do that as well when I was working on my albums and stuff. Like I love like that high pitched rocky voice, and You know, I feel like back in the day, I always viewed like rock to be more kind of like darker and like lower vocal range.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a big awakening for like rock music in general. You know, I feel like then we also have like a lot of female rock artists now that can like really sound really like higher pitch, but still have like that grunge, like Hayley Williams or someone, like, you know.
Yep.
Like, it's just cool that like your vocal coach inspired for what you have, but then you also wanted to be flexible and try different things. But she also reminded you to like to not be ashamed of like if you do sound higher, like that's great because you can still sound rock, you still can have that edge, you know. And I think sometimes we need to hear a second opinion rather than just the one that's playing in the back of our head.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now with you being here at your own studio, so are you still interning with Steve as well?
Oh, for sure. And so this isn't my studio, for the record, but I do work here.
Right.
And I am the only person that does work here, but I am very fortunate to have gotten the connection with this guy. You know, he's really put a lot of work into this place, and I'm really excited to be working for him. But I am still very active interning. I'm always trying to learn new stuff.
Yeah. So we got the instruments, we got the vocals. So would you say for engineering, was that inspired by just being around Steve Brown?
I mean, yeah, a lot of it was. I didn't know what any of it was before I met him. I didn't know any of that stuff even existed. Like,
right.
I didn't really know how music was made, to be honest. Like, I hadn't really seen that side of it, like the recording process with my dad's band or anything. They usually kind of did that on their own. I was more involved with like the live stuff. So it wasn't until I got in the studio and saw like all of the engineering regard that I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like I didn't even know that was a thing or like an aspect of it. But once I did find out about it, I became pretty obsessed with it pretty quickly, I'd say.
Yeah. And what do you think was one of the hardest things to learn, with that being completely like unknown to you? What was like one of like the hardest things to learn when it comes to doing stuff like that?
I think probably the hardest part about learning it was just like in the beginning. It's always like it can be a little overwhelming, you know. Like I think that I had a strong passion for it, but there was a lot of times where it was just like sometimes things wouldn't click, you know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, oh man, I don't really get how this works, or like why do I do that? Why do I do this? And you know, it was just kind of getting past those harder parts in the beginning, but you know, over time it kind of just comes to you, you know.
Yeah. And especially like working with someone that is like patient with you and gives you access to like see the behind the scenes, and you know, such as Steve Brown that lets you do that must be very helpful.
Steve's great, and he has taught me everything I know, and he's a very good teacher, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities he's given me. Like, yeah, for
sure. So how many days a week are you there interning?
It depends, but I go there weekly at minimum. Like I'm there at least once a week for sure.
And then this just opened up, as we know.
Yeah, so this, you know, we're trying to get as many people in here as possible.
Yeah. So if you want to shout out that plug right now, you know, for people to know if they ever want any recording here in the Camillus area.
Yeah, if you're in the Camillus area, Legacy Recording, let me know. Hit me up.
Yeah. Now, so you're here, and then you do sometimes at Syracuse Sound. So what else, like, are you doing? Like, do you have like another job like in process now, or?
Yeah. I mean, I work part-time at a pizza shop, but.
Oh, really?
But you know, I'm trying my best to get out of that.
Valid.
But because it does get to be a lot sometimes with just being here, being at Syracuse Sound, doing the pizza shop stuff, making my own music, you know. But
yeah,
whatever it takes to pay the bills, you know.
Valid.
I'm a delivery driver, so.
What pizza place is it?
It's Nino's in Auburn.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I've been there. I actually worked there in high school too, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but So I left for a while to do construction, but then once I was in college, I needed to pay my bills, and I couldn't do construction in college at the same time, so it worked out pretty well.
And like you're living on your own and everything now too as well?
Yep.
In like all in the Auburn area?
Yep.
Nice. So if anyone wanted to do like engineering, music, or anything like that, what would you want to say to them if they were feeling conflicted about it?
I would say if you're feeling conflicted, it's probably not the thing for you. I think that if you are going to do it, you have to be very dedicated to it. It's not something that pays a lot right off the bat. It's not something, because I mean, even like I just said, I'm working part-time at the pizza shop and then like grinding in whatever other ways I can, just to make ends meet. But it's because I love it,
Right.
And it's like, and it's something that gives me a lot of fulfillment. So if you feel conflicted, it maybe isn't for you.
Yeah, and I think that's great honesty. I think the other thing too is like, and actually I do improv classes here in Syracuse, and they talk about rejection a lot, and of how like they'll be rejected so many times, they'll go fly all the way out to this way or this and that, and it's a lot of lost income. And sometimes if they do get a gig, then they have to like hope that they can afford like the hotels if those aren't covered, or like see how much it pays, if they'll even profit from being there. But like people just are so passionate that the money and all that doesn't consume the desire to do what they want. And I think like how you were saying, like you have to be dedicated to certain things like that. And
definitely,
I think like if you get rejected or not seen by someone, it's not that you're rejected as a whole, it's just that it wasn't that era or that moment wasn't made for you, and they were talking about how like each person is like dedicated to a role when it came to the acting. And I thought that was very interesting. Like I was thinking about like some big time movies, and I was like, I can never imagine such and such playing such and such, because like we're like kind of like programmed that they were made for that role. And it made me think about like music sometimes too, because a lot of songs, as we know, are written for a big artist. And it's kind of like, we hear all the time that this artist rejected that, this artist didn't want that. And it's like, in a way, maybe that song was like made for them, Yeah. And I feel like that happens a lot in the music world. It's like you have to make it made for you, and you can't go in thinking that you're going to get like, number one, or you're going to get all the income, all the revenue. It's like, that's not why you should be in it. If that's like your main thought process, then like you're not in the reality, or you're not doing it, with a full heart. And I think that's a real hard thing for people to understand. We've been making music for quite some time, and I'm in my master's right now, and I work at a coffee shop to pay off my school payments, and then you're working at a pizza shop. It's like we have, I don't want to say normal jobs, but we have steady jobs that we keep in order to do what we love,
Exactly. And it's like, my thought process has always just been that I'd rather do kind of a shitty job right now, just to pay the bills, so that I have time to get good at this and then have this pay the bills someday.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
you got to work your way up.
Yep. And I'm willing to take the time.
Exactly. And like, let's take someone like Steve Brown, for example. I remember he was working for someone at Subcat, as we know, and that I met him in 2018. So now fast forward, like what? Like, like what? I can't do math. 18, 25. What is that?
8 years.
7 years, I think. 7, 8 years. He's got his own studio now.
Yeah.
And he has a family and everything. And, he worked his way up to do stuff like that. He made connections. He's got clients that have been with him for years, such as us. He's got connections and a good support team. And, because he was in it for the right reasons.
Exactly.
And I feel like, if Steve were to ever become unhumble, and maybe if he changed within that period, he would have never got to where he was. So thank God he didn't.
Yep.
And I feel like that goes out for a lot of artists out there. It's like, don't get consumed by the Hollywood fantasy and all the glam, like, because that's just a show. That's not the reality. You know, music should be done to connect with others, and it should be something that makes you happy for what it is and not for what comes with it, you know.
Definitely.
But I know that I was listening to a couple of your songs before we had the pod today, and I would love for you to like share with me some of like your favorite highlights of your music career, like songs that you really love lyrically, some you think you sound really great vocally, maybe some things you wish you could redo, or
I don't know. I have this one song that actually recently got taken down, but I'm gonna put it back up. It's called Without Words, and I did redo that song because that song is so old. Like, I wrote it like when I was so young, and I just have to, when you said that, that's the first song I think about, because it's just like, my mom loves that song, my grandma loves that song. It's like the song I always have to play at the family gatherings and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's probably the highlight song, I guess. But
okay.
And it's a lot different than all my other songs too. I'm usually more like guitar heavy and like kind of, you know, rocking out, but it's like a sad ballad. But you know, it is what it is, and it's a good song. I do like that one.
And what are some songs that you are really into right now, lyrically, vocally, of yours, instrumentally?
Of my own songs?
Yeah.
I mean, I really like my song "Sick and Facetious." That one is a single that came out more recently, and yeah, I just like the way that one came out. I think that it's really different than a lot of stuff that I've done in the past, and I like how I sing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the whole arrangement of it.
I know the ones that I really liked were I definitely liked Empty Jury. That was really good.
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
I like this 2 Zeros. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the other one I really liked was off one of your later projects. The Things We Swore We Figured Out.
Yes.
I really do like that one as well.
Yeah.
So now, when you are in the process of like a song, like clean slate, nothing's started yet, how do you start? Do you start with lyrics? You start with an instrumental? Are you inspired by something for everything to mesh together? Like, how does a song come to be?
It's always lyrics. Like, any of my songs you can read as a poem. Like, if you were to just lay the lyrics out and just read them, it just reads like a poem, and then I just put music to it.
So with these poems that become lyrics, what are they inspired by? Like real life events or something like you witness?
Everything that I've ever written about is real. Like, that's something that I try to stay true to. Is I don't tend to make things up. You know, I just write about my life.
So what's like a song that you've written that you could share with us that was like a real personal story that you shared?
I don't know. I mean, like, they're all kind of personal in their own way, you know what I mean? And that's what I try to do, is I try to make them personal, but also kind of vague, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't try to be too overly specific, but I do try to make them sad, you know, and just like kind of just personal in a sense of like, I know that they're things that happen to me or whatever, but I want them to be you know, also kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like relatable.
Right. So that way, because if you gave too much of a clear definition of what was going on, then it's kind of just yours. But having a little bit of vagueness allows more for an audience to relate to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think...
Because it's not pinpointing at just like one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I guess like... what you were saying, like describing one of them, like I can go back to Sick and Facetious. The reason I like that song is because I'm kind of telling it as a story rather than what actually happened. Like it's just a breakup song, you know. It's your standard breakup song, but instead of like being like, oh, we broke up and I'm sad, like instead it was like, oh, you killed me, and like I'm dead now and I'm coming back from the dead, and like you know what I mean, like just kind of like being very dramatic and over the top, because it just makes it more fun and exciting, you know.
100%. I feel I've done that sometimes too with my projects, like when I did like Flirty and Lovable Bitch off my new record. It's basically about, because I wrote the album when I was 12 to 16 years old, as I mentioned in the last pod. So when you're in those ages, like, you know, the 12, 13, when I wrote those songs, you go through your hormones and like you become very horny and sexually active, and like you feel those desires. And that's why those songs are so extra, if you will, because you're very, you know, feeling yourself. Like you want to feel that, you know, sexual drive. And that's why in those songs there's so many like heavy breathings and like sound effects, because like everything is in heightened.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we went for in those songs. So I get, like we were saying, with like the dramatics.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when it comes to like the instrumentals and the singing, like how can you tell if you want to go more with like how you mentioned like that Michael Jackson high voice, or like the screaming? Like how can you pinpoint which song is going to be what?
I think it mostly depends on if I want it to be angry or if I want it to kind of be more melodic or moving, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think that's usually how I decide. Like if I can tell that what I'm saying has a lot of anger behind it, I definitely go for the screaming. And it's also like, I just like to scream. It took me a really long time to learn how to do it, so it's kind of fun to throw it into songs sometimes.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, when I did my scream, it just felt like therapeutic. Yeah. I don't know if you can relate to that, but
no, sometimes, yeah.
I think there's just so much, depending on the song, you just have to let something out. And like the words do it, but I think like a full scream sometimes just like,
yeah,
I don't know, it just feels good.
For sure.
Now, who was like an artist besides your father, as you mentioned, that you would love to collab with lyrically, instrumentally, on a full project?
I mean, probably, like, I know I've mentioned them a lot, but I mean, I really do love Pierce the Veil a lot.
So good. I actually saw, oh my God, I keep forgetting his name. Is it Vic? Is that his name?
Vic Fuentes.
I saw him in LA. He was at Emo Night and he was DJing.
Oh, nice. I saw one of their shows in December. They were really good live.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Now, if you were to do a song with that band, what do you think would be like a cool like vibe to do with them? Like, what do you think like the song would consist of?
I don't know. I mean, they do the same kind of thing that I try to do, just in a different, you know, flavor, I guess. You know, I tend to go for more like synthesizers and more upbeat a lot of the time. But I mean, I have my sadder, more minor, darker songs as well, and a lot of their songs are like that. So I think it'd be cool to do some poetic, sad stuff. You know, I think that would work out pretty well.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any new projects coming out soon for fans to be excited about?
The one, I started working on an EP that I was going to try to have done this summer, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I do have an EP that for sure is coming out in October. That's all Halloween themed.
Oh.
I've never done something like that before, so
Calling All the Monsters by China McClain.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I've always been a Halloween fan, you know. I've always liked the holiday, so I made one song with my sister that was the first one on the EP that's like all vampire themed, so then I just made a few more that were kind of similar.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. That'd be very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Now, let's do a little bit of a flashback when we first met in my session. So, what were your thoughts when in the booth with me, and then we did that collab? What were your takes on that?
I mean, I've heard your music for a while, and I've known about you for a while, so it was cool to put a face to the voice, and I've interned on a lot of your songs, so yeah, it was cool to just meet you, and I'm glad that we kind of got along and that you wanted to do this with me, and so
Yeah.
and I'm always glad to help out.
And what were your thoughts like before putting a face on it, just like hearing like someone you don't even know and like their story, and have seen someone like make that come to life, like with Steve Brown, like with the instrumental and touching the vocals? And
Yeah, I think it's always like that, just I think it's cool to hear how everyone makes music so differently. And it's something that I've talked with Steve about, is it's like it's interesting to hear when people write stuff that I was like, man, that is something that I would never write. And it's different for literally everybody. Like, everyone just writes things completely different from each other, and you can always hear their own influence, and like you said, their own like storyline, and it's really cool.
do you have any examples that you can remember way back when hearing it, that like there was like some certain lyrics or stories that really jumped out of you when hearing some of my stuff with Steve?
I think it was just like mostly kind of like what you were mentioning. I don't remember if you mentioned it after we were recording or not, but he was telling me like how you guys have worked together for a long time, so I think it was just cool to like see the progression and see like also like your different kind of genres that you do. Like, and some of them are more rock and some are more like dancey, so it's interesting.
Now, did you have a favorite off the I'm Back album that you still like to this day, now it being out for a few months now?
What is that one song, the one that me and Steve were singing?
Oh my god, wait. Everyone's got a story?
Everyone's got a story.
Oh my god, those two bitches would not stop singing that. Oh my god. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
But, and then like also just like being in the studio with me and like, not really knowing me at all, like how do you feel that environment was and stuff like that?
I mean, you're always funny. Yeah, you always.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing right now,
Well, I'm glad that I was able to meet you there, and I'm glad that you were able to guest star, and it's just cool that like you were able, because I remember Steve was talking about you briefly, because I recorded this whole album at home, as people know. So it's really cool to know that like when I was off doing my own thing, there was people hearing it,
Yeah.
and there was different reviews or remarks about it, and I had no idea. So I just think it's cool that like you said, putting a face on it, but like also like seeing that not only is someone like listening to it, but like someone has a similar motive and similar hobby and interest that does kind of like a similar thing, makes their music and writes themselves, sings themselves. And
Definitely.
It's always great to meet more people in the music world, especially ones that are, remain humble and optimistic for different ideas, and are willing to collaborate with different ideas. Some of my stuff that I've done, I've heard from so many interns, friends, and it's like, damn, I never thought of it. Let me give it a try. Yeah. I have done so many different songs, but I think what I'm saying is like, it's important to remain social in the music world for connections, for ideas, for inspiration.
Definitely.
It's not a one-person job.
Yeah, it's always cool to meet other people that do it in general. For sure.
Yeah. And would you say like when you make music, like if you're having like a tough time with like personal stuff like that, is this something that you can confide in?
Oh yeah, I mean all of my songs are sad. I think that's just something I've always done. Like if I'm kind of feeling down, I just write a song about it,
And when you are done writing that song after being sad, would you say that sadness is then gone because like you were at peace with it because you wrote something? Or
Yeah, and I think that it's also cool too, especially as like a song gets older. It's kind of nice to listen back and remember like what I was sad about, and because now there's like this thing that's like about it, and I can almost like laugh at it. You know what I mean? It's like, I was like, I'm like, oh my god, it was such a big deal back then, but like now I listen to it and it's just a song, you know what I mean? And I'm not like bothered anymore, you know?
I totally understand. Like when I was redoing my album, because like I said, it was the first album I ever wrote, but we're doing them in order now, and it's very interesting to see like what 12, 13-year-old you, or you know, even like when you were like 18 or 17 doing music, and it's like what we valued so much back then.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, it's kind of could be laughable in a sense, and it's like, why do we care so much what other people thought, or why do we have to have this one person like me, or why was I so obsessed with that boy or girl for not kissing me? What, like, you know, just like those like little high school things, but like we fixate on them for so long because that's our environment. But then once we leave those environments, we're like, damn, I gotta worry about rent. You know, it's like that's our main issue. That's a sad song right there. The rent blues. Work on that. Maybe. You know, so I agree. Like, you know, I feel like, you know, if I were to play some of my songs back right now, I don't think I would necessarily laugh, but I would be like, you survived that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to say it. Like, you know, I've written songs about suicide, depression, eating disorders, and some of those thoughts are still present, but they're not as effective as they were, you know, 5-6 years ago. So
that's great.
I think music for us both, I would say, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just shows growth. Definitely. I mean, my first album that I put out at 19, like, I guess why I'm saying that I laugh at some of it is just because, like, I guess, yeah, like when you're a kid, a lot of things feel a lot larger than life. Yes.
And it's kind of funny to look back at it. And it's also kind of funny because I was very like inexperienced as well back then, so it's just I feel like I see a lot of growth in that regard as well, just musically even, and like writing wise. But yeah,
I know when I did my first album, I was 20. It came out in 2020. It was either 19 or 20, and I think, like, you know, looking back at older projects like that, not only on a personal level can you either laugh or feel you survived those moments, but like you learn more of like what you can do beyond your other projects. You know, like we learn more of like you said with your vocal coach, they taught you things, and being around Steve can teach you things as well, like engineering and vocals and stuff. And I feel like the exposure with other clients or people you intern and stuff like that, it can inspire you to do more within your work, vocally, writing wise, engineering. I know, like, I had a lot of tips on this album, and I was able to be patient with it, you know, because I feel like a lot of the time, sometimes we feel we have to kind of like rush or feel eager just to get something out because we're just so amped up about it or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think another thing too, I don't know if Steve taught you this, but he taught me to, like, you know, when you make demos, then like sit on them for like a week or something, then revisit them, because he said like you can get addictive to your demos. Demo
love.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, that especially happens with clients. Like,
yes.
Yeah. That's already happened to me. Even though I'm still pretty young in my career, I've definitely had people who are like, can you make it sound like the way I already had it? It's like, then why do you want it? What am I doing then if you already liked it the way it was?
I feel like I remember when I was doing my album, because I have, I think, 12 or 13 songs on it, and I remember I did my demos and I waited like a week or two. I only liked 4 of the demos after.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, like, you know, I just, like, you know, like when someone says something to you, it's kind of like, okay, we'll see, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like Steve was right. Like, and that made me think about my other projects in the past, like when I heard those demos when I was like, you know, 16, 17, when you're that young, because I like everything, like we said, everything's a bigger deal back then when you're younger. It's like, yo, this sounds so sick. Like, you know, I remember like, I don't know if you were like this way too, but like just like any like one little synth or bass, like, whoa, so cool.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, especially like I said, because I didn't know about
right.
it. the simplest things were so exciting.
Yes. And I feel like that happened a lot with like those early demos. I was like, nope, can't get better than this. But you know, I feel like now when you move forward, it's like, well, that sounds cool, but like, what happened? We gotta, you know, make sure we can do more with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just an ongoing learning thing. I feel like with music, it's like every day you learn something more about yourself with it, more about the people you work with in music, and also just like it's never gonna end. There's always something you can do better. There's always something you can improve on. You know,
for sure.
It's not like there's like level 100, you beat the game, that's it. It's not like that.
Yep.
And I feel like when some people get to that mindset, then they don't show any growth and people turn away from that.
Definitely.
I think that's why I feel in the music world they say like eras, you know, like some artists have like a pop era, rock era, sad era, divorce era, whatever. And audiences can pick up on that.
Definitely.
And then we turn to like our music. It's like today, oh, I feel like a Pierce the Veil era. Oh no, now I'm feeling Miley Cyrus. It's like we just like jump wherever, you know. Like, would you say like with you, like I know you mentioned a lot of like heavier rock bands, but do you ever find yourself switching to listen to other genres just because of your mood or whatever?
I mean, yeah, I listen to a lot of stuff for sure. Like I like rap music, I like dance music, I like pop music. I listen to country, I listen to emo, metal.
Yes. I like listen to a lot of like nostalgia projects, believe it or not.
Nice.
Like, I kid you not, like if you play me like a theme song like from the early 2000s, I might listen to that over like any mainstream song right now. I don't know, there's just like something about it. And
yeah, no, I could see that.
It's just like for the feel of it.
Yeah.
It may not even be like for the sound, it's just the feeling you get from it, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
But another question I wanted to ask you to wrap this up is, if anyone was feeling like, you know, depressed or sad and doesn't do like music or anything for themselves like that, and they're looking for like some advice, like what would you like to say to them?
What do you mean?
If someone was like really sad right now, like what words of advice could you say to help them feel good about themselves or remain hopeful?
Just in general?
Yeah.
You know, it always gets better. I think it's always better to see it through than to let yourself spiral, you know. I think that's probably the best advice. I think things always get better, even though they feel really bad in the moment.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing to have. And I think the other thing, too, is to have, like, those short-term and long-term goals to stay motivated. I think motivation is something that helps us look forward rather than fixating on the frustration we're dealing with in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, like, a short-term goal could be, like, you know, something that happens in a few days that can make you look forward to something. Or a long-term goal, it's like, we're doing all of this for one thing. It's like, you know, right now, like, our short-term goal could be, like, paying our bills or something. Like, you know, that's our thing right now. But, like, we each have long-term goals for us to leave the coffee shop, to leave the pizza place, so you can do music full-time and maybe even do what your dad does and go on tour and, you know, get a big bus and travel the world, whatever you want to do. And,
yeah,
you know, that could be, like, a long-term goal for you. But the reality is that everything takes time.
Definitely.
And like you said, seeing it through rather than spiraling to get to those moments is important.
For sure. You always got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Things don't happen overnight.
Nope.
But with that being said, this has been the Real Talk Girlies podcast. Dan, it was so nice getting to chat with you, learn about your music journey, and I just want to say that I love what you put out there.
Thank you.
I love how you're doing it for you and a little bit for your dad because he inspires you. And I love the motivation. I love how you stay busy. And like your dad says, I hope you don't change for anyone. Stay who you are and just keep on doing great things.
I appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. This has been the Real Talk Girlies. Bye.